at that misunderstanding of the potential effect on risk of life. In fact, if anyone could answer that question, I would be grateful.
No, I have no concerns around that. Where urgent care centres are being put in place elsewhere in the country, we haven't seen the tragedies you describe. It's certainly possible that somebody could go to one place, as they currently do. Our A&Es aren't uniform, don't provide a uniform register to know. We have clear protocols that enable them to be transferred to the right place, and that's what makes it safe.
So Dr. Spencer said absolutely no concerns, which is a bit too definitive for me. I don't believe that's possibly scientific, there must be some. I'll ask everyone who's medical, who's got a doctor in front of their name. Would you care to comment? You have no concerns either? Absolutely no concerns, and I remind you, you're on record.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns. I think that already it is difficult for patients to navigate the health service. I think that the changes that we're implementing will, if anything, give them more information to make better decisions. I think patients go to A&E for a variety of different reasons. In a certain situation, going to A&E with, say for example, a form of diabetic crisis is the appropriate thing to do. Relying on A&E to manage your day-to-day diabetes is not. So, no, I do not, medically speaking, I do not have concerns about changes that we're proposing.
And when you see the communication campaign that they forward, you must realise there's quite a lot of space for misunderstanding. That doesn't concern you the slightest. You've seen the communications stuff. You're a deputy chair of this CCG. No concerns about that and its effectiveness and the space for misunderstanding.
When we first discussed the communications programme amongst the CCG board, most of the clinical members were in favour of a message which said specifically closure. Now, we've taken expert advice on this, who I believe are experts in the field of public relations and communications.
It depends what the brief is. I mean, if the brief is, let's get through this without any problems. The brief is, let's get through this without any problems, and yes, you might want to sort of 1984 language. But if it's actually, how do we get very clear messages about what the changes are, and how do we reach all those people, and how do we set targets for those numbers of people? Well, we've already heard the answers on that. That's not the advice that's been given so far. So I'm concerned as someone who understands communication a bit, having just gone through an election and had to get a message out. And I would suggest I probably know quite a lot more about it than most people. So I would suggest you should be concerned, given that the likely knowledge of what's going to happen on the ground is not out there. That people will not have that knowledge. People will go to Hammersmith A&E thinking it's an A&E only to find that they've gone the wrong place. And statistically, some of those people will have put their lives at risk.
I think that when you don't have expertise in the field yourself, I'm a GP, I'm concerned about what happens to my patients day to day. I still spend most of my time in the surgery seeing patients. So, am I concerned that they understand what's going on? Of course I am. Do I feel that the advice we've been given is the right advice? It's advice from an expert company. I'm not an expert in communications. So therefore, I take the advice from the expert panel. I'm led to believe that the procedure for choosing a company, this was procured in the same way that other services are on the NHS procurement website. And this was an open and equal playing field for anybody who wanted to take it.
I'll come back. So we need to work for everybody else and then
Sure.
share this. But my advice to you would be, someone who understands this probably more than you, is you need to look at that brief that was given to NSD strategy, Sasachi, and you need to confirm to yourself that this is the right brief to do the right job at the right time. And if there's any doubt, and you do owe it to this committee to come back and tell us, because I believe, someone who understands communication, that this communication is putting lives